Is Lloyd Banks one of the greatest of all time? There is no fixed definition of what it means to be one of the greatest rappers of all time. Some say only one can be the best of all time, while others would settle on the notion that there are several rappers with greatest of all time status, and usually settle on a personal top 5, top 10, top 20, top 100 list, and it could be hard to separate top tier artists. There are many factors which go into the debate: flow, body work, fan base, sales, chart success, lyrical ability, longevity, impact and songwriting. With all these factors, is there a case for Banks being considered one of the best of all time? Before delving into Banks' credentials, it's important to understand Banks as an artist. Banks is someone who is a student of the game, a rapper who cares more about the art of rap over clout. Looking at Banks' social media activity, it's easy to see he values his private life and presents himself through his rhymes. There are many rappers like Banks who take ownership of their life rather than presenting it in the public eye, and that's okay. Not everyone has to reveal every facet of their life to be one of the greatest. If we look at lyrical ability, Banks is up there. He was only a teenager when he formed G-Unit with 50 and Yayo, and his ability on the mic was years ahead of his time. As the youngest of the trio, but yet the most technically gifted, this shows that his ability is a gift, and over the years Banks has only perfected his craft. That's why he's known as the punchline king, the PLK. One strong trait that many great rappers have is the ability to have a distinctive flow, to set them apart from the competition. Rap was firmly centred in New York in the early 2000s. Banks had to set himself apart amongst a growing number of rappers, and to be known for your flow throughout hip-hop as the punchline king places Banks firmly into the category of distinctive flow. Some could argue that Banks isn't as big as other rappers like a Jay-Z or a Nas, but it's important to understand everyone has their own lane. Throughout his career, every commercial project is either certified gold or platinum. He's just chosen not to continue down a commercial route, but that fan base still tunes in. This is exemplified by the millions who streamed his freestyles in 2020. In this way, Banks has sustained his longevity, going for quality over quantity. It's solely on Banks to release his music. He negotiated his release from G-Unit in 2018 to be fully independent, to have ownership of his music and full creative direction. That means Banks is in charge of the impact he has. He grew up in the Bling era and dominated with 2 platinum commercial albums and 1 gold independent album. It was no one's fault as the Bling era came to an end around 2007, and Banks by that time had made his impact. And through his independent albums and mixtape series since, he's really nailed his name to the mast and just continued to have an impact on his fans, with a pen game that's better than 90% of rappers out there. At the end of the day, perhaps most important when assessing someone as one of the greatest is their body of work. And if we follow Banks from the All-Star days to G-Unit, to his diss records, to Interscope releases, to his mixtapes, to his remixes, Banks has been the best in class. Is there even a record out there where he's been out-rapped? His body of work is impeccable. So with the flow, the sales, the body of work, the punchlines, the accolades, the songwriting, the pen game, the impact, it's hard to deny his credentials. And taking into account his reserved public persona, if you take him just as a rapper, there is a very strong case for him being considered one of the best. But what do you think? Is Banks a GOAT? Who's better than him? Let us know what you think, and thank you for listening. This has been Hip Hop Frequency.